I'm Amy from Doodle Dog Designs. Today I'm going to be talking about rug hooking. Today I'm going to show you how to make rug hooking bowl fillers. So I've got two projects I'm going to be working on. These have been hooked on monk's cloth. Monk's cloth is a little bit softer than your rug warp or linen, and it manipulates and folds over better for making a bowl filler. Both have already been steam pressed, and this one I cut back the edges to somewhere around 1 inch, and I have serged all the way around it. If you don't have a serger, you could use a zigzag stitch all the way around it. This one I'm going to take to the serger, and I'm going to just eyeball it and serge all the way around. Now I've taken the two pieces to my sewing machine and put my zipper foot on, and I put the needle over as far to the left as I can get it, and I am stay stitching all along the edge of the project, as close as I can get to the hooked loops without getting my needle and thread into any of them. I don't know if you can see the stay stitching, but what the stay stitching does is it helps keep the fabric, keep its shape, so when you're manipulating it, it doesn't get all stretched out. Use the same concept when making clothing. So now for this one with the inside corner, there's an extra step. So I will show you that now. I've got a piece of wax paper I'm going to put down because this can get messy. And what I'm going to do is use my scissors and cut here on this inside corner. I want to cut up to the stay stitching, and then what I'm going to do later is turn it. So I want to get close enough that when I turn it, I will be able to push the empty foundation fabric to the back without seeing any of it. So then I'm going to take some Stop Fraying Fray Check, and I'm going to rub it onto the fabric. I want to be sure to get it on both sides and get it rubbed in good. And what that will do is keep the monk's cloth from fraying out any further. So I'm going to let that dry. It takes several hours. I usually leave it overnight and then come back to it the next day. The fray check is dry now, so I'm ready to press the empty monk's cloth to the back, and I'm going to start by turning up this corner, and then I will turn over the rest of the edges. And I don't want to use my iron on this part. I don't want to get this fray check on my iron, so when I get to this point, I will just finger press it to the back. Well, this one that doesn't have any inside curves is easy to do. I can just press it under all the way around, and it will have some folds in the corners. So I'm just going to press it to the back, and then after I have it all pressed to the back, I'm going to use a damp pressing cloth, and I'm going to just do one little section at a time. And the steam will help set that down better and hold it in place better than just the plain iron will. So you can see when you turn it over, you can't see any of the empty foundation fabric. And I'll do the same thing for the heart. The heart, I'm going to start down here, turn that corner up. So if you have like a rectangle or a square that's got corners, you want to turn the corners in first. And then I don't want to get my iron over that area where I have the fray check. Now I'm going to take a needle and thread and baste this empty monk's cloth to the back. Sometimes I do skip this step, but it does work better if you baste it to the back. So when I baste it, I'm just going to grab some of the wool on the back to sew it to. Just making sure that I don't go all the way through to the front. On this one, the basting is a little bit more important because I want to make sure that I get this area here that I couldn't press. I want to make sure that I get that basted to the back. It's a little bit harder to sew through that area where it has the fray check on it. Now that I have the basting done, I'm going to cut out a piece of backing for each of them. I'm going to use this gray wool for this one. I'm using felted wool for the backing. If I use felted wool, you can cut it and it doesn't ravel, and then I don't have to worry about turning under the edges. I'm going to use this hooked rug as my pattern, and I don't want to cut straight because I want it to be just a little bit bigger. I'm going to angle my scissors a little bit, and that will make it cut just a little bit bigger. And I don't want it a lot bigger, just a small amount, and I might end up having to cut a little bit off as I sew it. And then for this one, I'm going to use a black background. Do the same thing. And I find when I do the cutting that way, it can be a little jagged on the edges. So I'm going to smooth it out a little bit, smooth out the cutting. You can see here it ended up pretty jagged. Now I need this to be bigger because when I stitch it together, the edging, the backing is going to come up over and cover this folded over monk's cloth. So that's why I need it to be just a little bit bigger. So I'm going to use thread that matches the backing, and then I'm going to bring my needle up between the folded over monk's cloth and the foundation fabric on the front and bring it out right here at the folded over edge. So I'm going to put my needle in as close to the edge of the hooked wool as I can, and then bring it back out over here a little bit in on the wool, like 1/4 of an inch or so. These whip stitches will pull this wool backing over the edge of the foundation fabric and cover that up so you can't see it. I've gotten down here to the corner, and this is why I did the top first, because it would have been harder to cut any excess off at the top than it is at the bottom. This bottom here is going to be pretty easy to cut extra off. Just a little bit more there on the corner still. Got a little bit of an opening still here. I'm going to go ahead and put some stuffing in. You could use some just fiber fill type stuffing like this, or you could fill it with some ends of worms that you haven't, that are too small to use. That makes a good stuffing. I'm going to do this one much the same way. I'm just going to bring my needle up back here so that it's right at the fold. Thanks for watching. Be sure to click the like button and subscribe below. I'll see you next time. Bye.